So, obviously we're starting here by talking about vowels, and by the way, welcome to the most interesting and probably most important part of this course. Vowels are basically what are going to make you sound the most British. I want you to continue practicing your stress and intonation as you carry on through this section of the course, because as I've said before, you should be practicing your stress and intonation at all times. But today I just want to give you an introduction to vowels. We're actually going to learn the basics of how to pronounce every vowel in this lesson. But we need to learn kind of how we pronounce vowels and why we pronounce vowels first, before we kind of move on to really learning them in detail. So in this chapter of the course, you're going to learn how to pronounce all of the vowels in detail. Each vowel has its own lesson, but today we're just going to kind of outline them, and maybe you can then understand which ones you're quite good at, maybe which ones you're quite bad at pronouncing. But first, there are some important things we need to learn, so let's go over to the whiteboard and find out what they are. So this is the first thing I want you to look at. I want you to look at the fact that we only pronounce the letter R. Now, R isn't a vowel. That's the first thing to understand. But we only pronounce the consonant R when there's a vowel sound after it. Okay? Now, this is extremely important because this is what's going to stop you from sounding American or even international in the way you speak. So Americans, they would pronounce this word right here as course. Course. They pronounce the R. Course. That's because they have what we call a rhotic R in American English. British English is a non-rhotic language, and this simply means that vowels quite often replace the letter R. And that's what's going to happen here with this word course. So, take a look at the word travel first, because you might have heard me then. I pronounce the R there. Travel, right? I pronounce the R. Why? Because there is a vowel sound after it. Ah. Okay? Ah. That's a vowel. Because there's a vowel there, I need the R to be able to get to that vowel. If I go back here, in British English, I say course, not course. I say course. The reason why? Simply because after the R is a consonant sound, which is a S. That's not a vowel, that's a consonant. Because there's a consonant there, after the R, that means I'm going to replace the R with a vowel. So all of this becomes what we call, I'm going to try and draw it here, there we go, an O sound. Course. So it's just a K or S. And there you go, there's one of your first vowels, in fact. That's the O sound. And that's replacing the letter R. Reason why? I need to say this again so that you definitely remember. There is a consonant sound after it. And this happens with loads of different words. Really important that you understand this. Need you to take note and remember that rule. Okay, it's really, really important. Next thing you need to know. There are 7 short vowels and 5 long vowels. So when I say vowels, of course, most people, what they think is A, E, I, O, U. Now, they are our vowels in writing, in normal English. They are the letters. But we have vowels in pronunciation which are just sounds. Okay? 7 short, 5 long. Really important that you know this, because they're very, very different. So what do you think when you think short vowel, long vowel? There's probably one in your language which is short and probably one in your language which is long. For example, the ones I immediately think of in British English are the difference between a and ah. A, short. A, I'm saying it very fast, right? But ah, I'm saying it very long. It's a long vowel. Now, what I need you to understand is, yes, one is long and one is short in terms of these vowels, but that doesn't mean that you need to pronounce the long vowels as like a really long sound. They're nice and short, but still longer than a short vowel. I hope that makes sense. Just don't make them too long. Short vowels, I recommend pronouncing them as short as you can because they're really intended to be nice and short. So do think about it in that way. Now, this is the next thing I need to show you. I don't know if you noticed what this is, but this is actually a diagram of your mouth. Unless maybe you're missing a tongue. I don't know why you'd be taking a pronunciation course if you didn't have a tongue. But anyway, if you didn't know, there you go, there's an arrow. That is the tongue, okay? That's your teeth. So your teeth are kind of here, and your lips are here. Okay, so lips. So the most important parts when it comes to vowels are the tongue, the lips, and I guess you could kind of say the bottom and top of the mouth. And the reason why is because these are the main things which make the sounds. The most important thing really is the tongue. And there's one thing I need you to think of first of all. I want you to push your tongue all the way down into the bottom of your mouth. Now, if you can. Push it down into the bottom of your mouth and it should, hopefully, make you want to open your mouth. Look at me. Okay, I'm pushing my tongue down and it's making me open my mouth. Okay, sorry for any weird spitty sounds. Now if I lift my tongue up, it makes me want to smile a bit more. So just practice moving your tongue up and down and see how it influences the shape of your mouth. Push it down, it should make you want to drop your chin and open your mouth more. Push it up, and you should notice that it kind of makes you want to bring your chin up more. Maybe even produce more of a smile. Now I just want you, it doesn't matter what sound you make, keep your tongue at the front of your mouth, push it down and make a noise. Any noise you can. For me, it would be ah. I don't know if yours sounded similar to mine. Hopefully it did. Now push your tongue all the way up. Don't touch anything in your mouth. Just push your tongue up as high as it will go without touching anything. And then make a sound. I. Now practice, if you can, with me. Ah. I. Ah. I. This is how much the tongue can influence you. So the tongue will change the shape of your mouth. If you lift it higher, the mouth is going to close more. And if you push it lower, the mouth is going to open more. If you keep the tongue in the middle, eh, that's the sound I make, eh, because it's just floating in the middle at the front. Now it gets a bit more confusing when we start pushing the tongue back and in all of these weird different places. But I want you to always imagine this diagram. Imagine your tongue moving when you do all of these things. This thing here is called the gum ridge. Some people know it in linguistics or pronunciation terms as the alveolar ridge. You're going to need to worry about those when it comes to consonants. Don't worry about that now, but it's really important that you understand, if you're using WhatsApp feedback with me, if I ever mention this ridge, this is what I'm talking about. And when we pronounce vowels, you have to avoid touching any of it. Don't touch the top of your mouth, don't touch your teeth, don't touch gums. Avoid touching your teeth, gums, or ridges when you pronounce vowels. Vowels are intended to be pronounced with the tongue in a very normal position. So please make sure that you do that. Now, you might have noticed this little box here, front, back. This box is basically the different places your tongue needs to be to pronounce the vowels. Remember, I just said it can't touch any of these areas. It can't touch these areas. Why? Because this is the section where you pronounce the vowels. And we're going to see when we go down some more information about that. Here we are. Here are your short vowels. Remember that box in the mouth? This box here? That's what this is. Now this might look quite scary to you. It might look quite weird. But trust me, this is going to save your life. You need to refer back to this as many times as you possibly can. It's so important for pronunciation that you understand how this box works. And it's actually very simple. You know, I still get students on WhatsApp messaging me saying, Elliot, I don't understand this box. I'm going to try my best. And this is why this is actually a second video. I've made this lesson before, but I'm doing a more detailed version now. as you might have noticed from the different haircut or the different size. I've put on a bit of weight in a good way, muscle. So things are a bit different. But hopefully this lesson is improved from last time. I want you to start at the bottom of the mouth. So this is where your tongue needs to be. So imagine this section here is the lower section of that box that we looked at just now in the mouth. So it's kind of not in the middle of your mouth, it's near the bottom. So near the kind of where your teeth are, okay? Near where your bottom teeth are. And remember, if you push your tongue down, it's going to then open the mouth a bit more. So let's try it with this sound here. Ah. So I want you to push your tongue down to the very, very front of your mouth. Now, in this situation, it is okay if your tongue kind of touches the ridge below your bottom teeth. So your tongue can kind of press against the bit of gum underneath your bottom teeth, but don't let it touch your teeth. Let your mouth go nice and wide open. Look at my mouth. Ah. I didn't even move my tongue then, it just stayed sat, pushed in the bottom of my mouth. Ah. Ah. Cat. Cat. Now, if you're not pronouncing these right yet, don't worry, because we're just at the beginning, we're just doing the introduction of vowels. It will get easier as you start learning about them in detail. But there we go, there's that sound. Cat. Cat. Ah. We're going to stay low, okay? And we're going to move to this one here. Now this one's quite difficult. Remember that these spots are where your tongue needs to be. Just in case you didn't realize, that's where your tongue needs to be. So here's the O sound. So lots of people say to me, Elliot, so does that mean I need to curl my tongue all the way back into my throat? No. Sometimes with vowels, although the spot is here, that's just on average where your tongue needs to be. It doesn't mean you need to curl the tip of the tongue into that position. So for the O sound in a word like not, what I'm doing, look at my hand. In fact, I'm going to go back to me now so you can see my hand. So look at my hand. Here is the bottom of my mouth. Here's my tongue. O. So the middle of my tongue is bending and the top is kind of just hanging down a bit. O. Not. You should feel the tip of your tongue maybe just hit the bottom of your mouth. It's okay to hit the bottom of your mouth just slightly. But remember, we don't touch any of the top of the mouth. O. Make a nice round shape with the mouth. O. Not. So my tongue pushing down and bending. This bit is bending back. So we're kind of just pushing the tongue back. Instead of curling it all the way back to that spot, we're just bending it, pushing it back to that spot. Okay, so don't start doing somersaults and acrobatics with your tongue. It's just a slide of the tongue. Think of it that way. I've got a very big tongue, so it's actually more difficult for me. It might be easy for you if you have a smaller tongue. I don't know if you needed to know that about my tongue, but oh well. So let's just try this one more time. Not. Remember that slide of the tongue. Right, so we've done 2 already. Now remember, it doesn't matter yet, you're going to learn about all of these in detail. But the next one we're going to lift up slightly. Now this one is quite difficult. And for some of my students, this spot here might actually be a little bit over here, or it might be a little bit up here in the middle. So it can kind of be any of these positions here, okay? And that's because it's quite a difficult sound to pronounce and the tongue position isn't extremely important. It's more about how you pronounce it. Now for me, I want you to look at me for this one, so we're going to go back to the big camera on me. So my tongue doesn't look very comfortable when I pronounce this, and to be honest, it's not. It's actually quite an uncomfortable sound. My best way to describe it is that okay, let me just try it one more time. I'm basically just curling my tongue up slightly, and it just has to float, kind of curled up. The tip is curled up to the middle of the mouth. And to be honest, it's not very comfortable, okay? It's not a very enjoyable sound to produce, but it's very, very British. Look at my tongue. So my mouth isn't massively open, and that's because it's kind of a lower central sound, okay? Which means the mouth is a bit open because it's lower, but it's near the middle too. So because it's near the middle, it's more of a relaxed mouth shape, okay? This one's quite hard to explain in a non-detailed lesson, so just understand that it might be different for you. You might find you have to curl your tongue back a bit more, but for me, it's a bit more near the front of my mouth and it's curled up. Make sure you're curling up so the middle of your tongue is bent down just a little bit. So I hope I haven't lost you yet. It's complicated vowels, and to learn all of these in one lesson is a big ask of me, but I just want to introduce them to you today, really, and just get things going. So we're going to move up now to my favourite sound, and I hope it's going to be yours too. Here we are with the schwa sound. Schwa. So, the schwa sound is 40% of British pronunciation. It's everywhere, and you're going to learn a lot about the schwa sound in this course. It's so important to British English. And here we are. We're going to zoom in a bit. Actually, no, don't worry. So, a go, a go, a go, a go. So let's just compare it with this one. We have a and we have a. A, 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 a. Simply, the only difference is that we're slightly lifting the tongue to a more natural, relaxed middle position. The schwa sound is what we call a lazy sound. The tongue is actually just sitting in the middle of the mouth. Not at the bottom, not at the top, it's just there. You might have to slide it back just slightly to reach that middle position. But don't curl, no curling of the tongue, no bending of the tongue. You might just have to slide it back a bit if you want to. A go. Go. A go. It's in words like teacher, doctor, I don't need to show you my face up close for this one because I want you to understand that it's in you. It's just a natural sound. Imagine you're running, right? And you're exercising, you're running, and you're breathing fast. When we run, we have just kind of a natural tongue, a natural mouth. We're not tensing anything in our mouths. That's how I want you to approach all of the vowels, but particularly this schwa sound, because we're not doing anything with the mouth when we pronounce it. We're just leaving the mouth open like we're breathing. Imagine that, just breathing out. Okay? So just to compare those again, we have nut and go. Practice with me. Remember, if you're not getting them right, it's okay. Now, go from that and then push your tongue just a little bit forwards to the front of the mouth. Smile a little bit. So for this one, it's quite straightforward. Your tongue is just pushed forward a bit near the front of the mouth. Imagine there's a gap between your teeth. Well, there should be anyway. In fact, come and have a look at me. So there's a gap here and here. There's your gap in the middle of my teeth. You want to be just behind that gap with your tongue. So we're not going through the gap. That would be a TH sound. That would be a th sound. We want it to just be So we're not touching. Remember, most important rule with vowels, we don't touch the teeth. We don't touch the top of the mouth. As in Elliot, or education, or met, right? Pen, So let that tongue just come forwards. Again, still quite relaxed. A little bit of a smile on the mouth. Not too much of a smile. You see me? I'm not really smiling, just a bit of a smile, and you should be able to produce that sound nicely. Now things get a little bit difficult. I want to start with this sound. So this sound, right here, this sound is E. Now, there is actually a lesson in this course where we will be comparing those two sounds, the difference between them, and making things better. But for now, we're going to focus on them separately. So let's just focus on this one for now. This is the short vowels. So remember, it's nice and short. I, I. So I want you to imagine your teeth, okay? Your top teeth, okay? Because remember, we've just done the middle section, okay? This was the middle section of the mouth. Now we're pushing the tongue up to the top of the mouth. And there's just two sounds here at the top of the mouth. So we're close to that ridge I told you about. We're close to the top teeth. Now imagine your top teeth are here. The I sound should just be a little distance between, okay? Just a little distance. So the tip of your tongue needs to curl up, okay? Curl up. Don't touch the teeth. Be maybe just behind your top teeth. A little smile, but drop your chin. I. It, for example. It, yeah? So look at me. It. I. Right? So I'm not really opening my mouth very much because my tongue is pushed up towards the top of my mouth. I'm smiling a bit because my tongue is pushed up to the top of my mouth. But it's not right at the top. It's just near the top teeth area. Imagine the sharp bit of your teeth, the bit you bite with, right? Your tongue should be just behind that. I. And you might find that you can feel the sides of your tongue just touching the sides of your teeth. That's okay, as long as the tip of your tongue is not. Okay? So one more time. I, as in it. See, I'm not doing much with my mouth. It. Maybe there's a little drop of the lip because the chin's going down, but nothing massive. If we compare that with the sound we're going to learn soon, which is E, I'm smiling a lot more because my tongue is higher. E. So we'll get back into detail with that sound later on in the course, but let's just finish the short vowels here. This sound. Put, or foot. It's difficult because it sounds a bit like So it sounds a bit like go, but it's more of an sound because we're curling the tongue up towards the back of the mouth. Now, I don't want you to think that you're really curling your tongue back, because when my students try to pronounce this sometimes, they really curl the tongue back and they nearly swallow their tongue, which is dangerous. You need to lift your tongue into this position, but do curl it slightly. Just don't go overboard and try and bend it backwards, because that's not going to produce any sound. It's going to then block your throat. I need you to remember that your throat is what makes the sound. It's the tunnel where the sound comes from. So we can't block that sound off completely. Put. Okay, now some people pronounce it a bit like a schwa sound and it kind of becomes put. So it's difficult. Lots of people pronounce it in different ways, but if you're learning my modern form of pronunciation, the way that most people in the South would pronounce this sound, it's more of an sound, puts. You'll see that I'm making quite a small shape with the mouth. That's because we're going all the way back. So this kind of back section here, sorry, it's getting a bit messy, but this back section creates more of a small round shape. This middle section creates more of just a sort of normal shape with the mouth, quite relaxed. And this front section makes you spread your lips more. But remember, if you're going higher, then it will be more of a spread lips and more of a closed mouth. That's why we call it a close area here, because we're at the top of the mouth. And the bottom bit, we're more open. Ah, for example. So we'll get to that put sound another time. It's probably one of the most difficult ones in this course. Oopsie. Okay, I'm just going to have to quickly edit all of these off without ruining the whole thing. And what I just want you to do now, just to understand how much we really move the tongue, I want you to do what we did right at the beginning of this course. Pronounce this and then pronounce this. Tongue up near the sharp edge of the teeth. I. Copy me. I. Now let's go down. Ah. I. Ah. I. Ah. And just notice, look in the mirror and notice how your tongue moves up and down and it changes the shape of your mouth. Apply some more sounds. I, ah, o. And notice how your tongue goes up, down, back. Just do these little exercises and they'll really, really help you with understanding how the tongue moves. Maybe then go to the middle. So we have I, ah, o. If you're not repeating, repeat now. I, a, o, And there's your short vowels. So study this. This is your Bible. This is what will help you with all of those vowels. You can always come back to this. I suggest you print this off with the file you get with the course and just use it religiously. It's so important. Now, long vowels. So remember, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long vowels, and they're just a little bit longer. Let's start at the top this time because we did I. Now we need to do E. E. So take a look at me. E. So this time my tongue is a little bit higher, and I'm actually relying a little bit more on those sides of my teeth to push the sides of my tongue against them and push my tongue up. E, E. See? I'm actually kind of touching the sides of my top teeth to help me curl the tip of my tongue all the way up. But remember, my tip of my tongue is not touching the top of my mouth. E, E. So yeah, allow the sides of your tongue to touch those teeth. E. That's usually the easy sound. The difficult one is I. So now try E, I, E, I, E, I. If you can't do it yet, don't worry. So that would be in a word like feet. Feet. Let's do something crazy. Let's push all the way back now. Ooh. So remember, we're in this little back section and we're up high. What does it mean when we're up high? It means close, so your mouth is more closed. And what does it mean when the tongue is near the back? More of a round shape with the mouth. Ooh. So lift that tongue up. Again, don't try and choke on it. Don't curl it all the way back. Just lift it up and allow it to curl slightly. If you hear like it sounds like you're blocking your throat, that means you're pushing it back too much and you're blocking your throat too much with your tongue. Ooh. Nice small round shape with the mouth. Look at me. Ooh. Ooh. Two. Now, we're going to go to one of the most challenging sounds in British English, which is the sound. Now remember what I said, so I want you to remember this. What comes after this letter R in the word work? Oh, a K. And what's a K? A consonant sound. K. So that means we're not pronouncing the R. So we don't say work or work. We say work. So where's the tongue? It's in a similar position to that schwa sound, remember? Now, try and make that a bit longer. Lower your tongue just slightly. Work. Now, in the beginning, all of these vowel sounds might sound a bit uncomfortable, but eventually they'll start to get more natural. This is the sound I say it sounds like you smell something really bad. So my tongue is curling into this position, curling up. It doesn't have to curl, you could just lift it into the position. And feel your tongue just go up. Find what works for you. Works for you. Now, lots of people get confused with these two because, for example, we have I walk to work. We'll talk more about that later in the course. Those two words, in fact. But now we just need to focus on this sound, which is or. So go back to with me, and now push your tongue back a bit more into the back of your mouth. Or. Where are we? We're in the back of the mouth, so that means rounder shape. Or. Again, you don't have to curl your tongue, or maybe slightly. Find what works for you. Some people end up curling it down the tip of the tongue. Some people curl it up. The most important thing is that the main base of the tongue is in that position. Or I curl it up when I pronounce it. Or nice round shape. Walk. Fall. Or. There's no use in me showing you my face in detail now because my mouth will be too small. Or. We go down to the final vowel sound I like to call the dentist sound. Why? Because imagine when you go to the dentist, they ask you to open and say ah. The reason why is because you're pushing your tongue all the way to the back of your mouth. You're opening nice and wide. And the dentist can see all of your teeth, all of your gums. And that's what we're doing with this sound. Take a look at me. Ah. Ah. No tongue in sight. Why? Because I'm pushing it down and I'm pushing it back. All the way back. Ah. Again, it might help you to push your tongue into the bottom of your mouth and slide the middle back. Some people, they just push the whole thing back. Some people will curl it back. I don't recommend curling it back. Ah. For me, I'm just slightly pushing the tongue down, but the middle of it is going all the way back. Mouth nice and big. Ah. And that's in words which make you sound very British. For example, can't, example, rather than example, as Americans pronounce it. And that's the R sound. And there you go. You have all of your vowels. So the key things to remember, okay, key things to remember here. Let me just erase all of this and then I will cover it. When your tongue is at the top of your mouth, it will make you close your mouth more. If it's nearer to the front, that means it will be a little bit more of a spread lips shape, more of a smile. If it's nearer to the back, then that means you're going to produce more of a round shape with the mouth. If it's in the middle, this middle section, means that you're going to produce more of just a natural, relaxed kind of breathing shape. But if it pushes back, again, it will be a medium shape, but round. And all the way down the bottom, of course, it's going to be an open shape. We're pushing the chin and jaw down so that we open. Ah, right? So do think of it that way and don't be afraid to over-exaggerate some of these sounds. Don't be afraid to really push the sounds out in the beginning. The process with learning vowels, in my opinion, is really force them in the beginning. Really try and pronounce them hard. You know, and then when we start to get better, we can start relaxing them. Okay, it's baby steps. Now, every vowel sound, every vowel sound, in my opinion, as a pronunciation expert, pronunciation specialist, you should be practicing for a minimum of 2 weeks. If it's a difficult sound, you should be practicing for anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks. Why? I've probably explained this to a lot of you already on WhatsApp or in this course already, but I need to stress this a lot. Vowels, or any sound in fact, in English, if it's a new sound for you, then that means you don't know how to pronounce it naturally. Your mind, your brain, still wants to pronounce it the way that you're used to pronouncing it because it's a habit you have. You're now trying to form a new habit, a new accent, which means that you need to be pronouncing these sounds differently without thinking. So we're teaching our brain to pronounce these new sounds. And the only way to teach the brain to do that is through lots and lots of repetition. So as you continue on throughout this course, I expect you to be taking long breaks and just focusing heavily on each vowel sound you practice. Really focus on it. Because then, if you focus on each vowel sound at a time, you're then going to teach your muscles that this is how you want to do it, and they'll start doing it naturally the more you practice, I promise. So, that's your introduction to vowels. I hope you found it useful, and I'm really excited to see how you start improving. Remember, now you're going to learn about all of these vowels in detail with practice lessons. You're going to learn more about the positioning, more about how to shape the mouth, and more about how to do it nice and perfectly. This was just the introduction. If you thought this was hard, you can now probably understand why each vowel sound needs a lot of attention. Because even after learning these, you might think, oh, yay, I know how to pronounce all of the vowels now. Yes, you do. But tomorrow, if you had to speak to someone for 20 minutes, you probably wouldn't pronounce them all perfectly. That's because you haven't done the muscle memory training yet. That is coming up next. Speak to you soon. Thanks very much for watching. Enjoy.